Hi, Facebook. This is Angela Jackson. I am your beauty expert. I am licensed cosmetologist, hair loss, and cranial prosthesis specialist here with you on another broadcast of Beauty for Ashes broadcast. Thank you so much for joining today. I do have a treat for you. I have the Mrs. Topaz Marvin as she is going to discuss with us the importance of nutrition and how it affects our well being. So, give it just a few moments. I will be right back after these messages. Thank you so much for joining the Beauty for Ashes broadcast. I am Angela Jackson, your hair loss expert, licensed in cosmetology and certified in trichology. And I am here today with the Mrs. Topaz Marvin. Hi, Topaz. How are you today?
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Thank you so much for joining this broadcast. I'm excited for the opportunity to share you with the world. We are discussing today nutrition and how it affects our bodies. On April 4th, I did an episode about nutrition and how it affects our bodies. Like sometimes our bodies can give telltale signs that something is going on in the body. And I discussed in that episode what that was like, what to look for in the body to determine if, in fact, you may potentially need to consult a nutritionist. Because what I found is that a lot of times when I do things on my own, it's not necessarily providing the resolve that I need. And so I'll still have all kinds of issues going on because I don't have all the information. And so I wanted to bring you on board to share with us the missing link to some of the questions that we have. So let me introduce my guest today. All right. So Miss Topaz Martin. She is the owner and operator of Hair and Health Recovery LLC, located in Sunnyvale, Texas. She is a seasoned hairstylist of over 20 years who have specialized in natural hair care for the past 10 years. She is also a certified trichologist, a nutritionist, a consultant, and an author and educator, and she also owns a host of digital products. She is here today to discuss all things nutrition and to share with us ways that we could use food to balance our body and restore health and well being. Welcome to the show, Topaz. Yay, I'm so glad that you are here. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. Anything that I missed out of that introduction?
Well, what made me even want to go into nutrition is when I took my trichology course. She spoke a lot about how your inner health can even affect your hair growth, hair loss. That your hair is like a barometer. It almost lets you know that like something might not be so wrong that a doctor might give you medicine, but there is something misfiring in the body. And so being a type 2 diabetic, and having someone that has PCOS, I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a hormonal dysfunction in the body. I've dealt with it all my life. Even as a child, I had to take shots every day. So learning, going to school for nutrition, I went to a online college, and it taught me more about my issues than I all the way up to I'm 45, more than I had known all these years. Like even talking to doctors and other people who, talk about food nutrition and things like that. It broke down a lot. And now I understand a lot more about how my food works with my body.
That's amazing. So the way, just to let everyone know, the way that we met was through our trichology course. Together we took the International Trichology Studies. Is that how you say ITS? ITS, right?
Inter-
International.
International, I believe.
International
Kendra would
Trichology
kill us.
Studies. She's gonna kill us, Miss Kendra Timmons. She's gonna kill us. So we met through trichology. We took the a trich. Well, she was ahead of me, so she had already preceded me in the course, and so she was actually a part of the educational program for the nutritionist part of the program, and that's how I met her. And so I just I've gained so much knowledge in that program. It was more than just studying about hair loss and studying about scalp disorder. It was so much information that we learned in that course. And it was a lot of eye opening experiences for me. And one of the things that was eye opening for me was the nutritional part because we don't really think about how food affects our bodies. We don't really think about what it actually does, that food is actually fuel. And the Western diet, a lot of times, is not necessarily live foods, if we can be honest.
Right.
A lot of it is processed with chemicals and pesticides and things of that nature that is causing issues in our body. And over time, like a lot of times we don't see those things manifesting right away. It manifests over time. And so certain things I started to see in my body, and it's like you can't always pinpoint where it happened. But
Mhm.
if you actually sit down and you think about, okay, well, how am I eating? What does my diet look
Mhm.
like? Then we could probably, begin to identify that not if not all of the problem has to do with food, some of the problem
Yeah.
definitely has a lot to do with the foods that we eat. So what are some of the common ways that food can impact our overall health, both positively and negatively?
Well, even like you were saying with the Western diet in school, they categorize it as the standard American diet and they abbreviated it as SAD.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they always called it the Western diet, but it was really, they said it's just a sad diet. When it comes to how it can affect you in a positive way, especially I can say for myself being a diabetic, um when I eat the right foods, whole foods,
Mhm.
meaning eating the foods as they come.
Mhm.
So not eating a potato that was turned into a french fry and then freeze dried and all these preservatives are in it. Like
Mhm.
if you eat the food in its natural form, that's what you would call a whole food. But when you eat those foods in their natural form, it breaks down in the body and it's in the way it's intended to. But when we eat foods that are full of preservatives, our body is struggling to break that down. And so that's why we have that tired, um, gas, bloating, acid reflux, indigestion. There are some foods that you can eat in their natural form and you can still get those situations, but you have to cook them a certain way. So it's all about really understanding how you need to eat your food, when you need to eat it, for what situation you need to eat it.
Mhm.
But when you do practice eating food in its natural form, your body is a lot happier for it because
It
it knows
really is.
what to do with that
Mhm.
versus you put something unnatural in your body doesn't know what to do with that.
Mhm.
So our body really doesn't need our help to do what
What
it
it's
is
supposed to
naturally
do.
supposed to do. But when we put stuff in it, it's like if you have a car that you need to put super unleaded in, but you just keep putting regular unleaded in it, it's not going to
Mhm.
run like it's supposed to, because you're putting a lower grade fuel in it than you would than what you're supposed to.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing when it
Absolutely.
comes to your body.
Absolutely. And what I was sharing with you is that, like for me, food has never been like an issue for me. I've always been, ooh, excuse me. I've always been pretty active. Um, and I never really had an issue with like weight or anything like that. For the most part, I've always been pretty petite. But what I noticed is that once I hit over 45, that things started to change a little bit. So even like certain foods that I used to eat, it never really affected me in a negative way. But I noticed that after that 45 mark, that I started to feel sluggish. I started to feel really bloated,
Mhm.
extremely tired. And I noticed a difference when I would go on a fast. So I've done like the vegetable all natural fast before where I would eliminate sugars, I would eliminate all processed food. So everything I was eating was live food, so grown from the garden. And after doing that, and it didn't even take a good week. I want to say after that first week, because that first week was grueling. Like my body was like, it was detoxing, but it felt almost like it looks for a person coming off of an addiction. That's
Mhm.
how I was feeling. Like I was feeling like I was going crazy.
Well,
Sick.
technically, our food does get addicted to sugar.
Mhm.
And sugar is in everything, whether it's in a large quantity or a small quantity. A lot of things breaks down into sugar. Even protein breaks down into aminos that break down into sugars.
Mhm.
So as we get older, especially if the activity level goes down, like
Mhm.
let's say back when you were in school, you played, you ran track or volleyball or, anything. Like I wasn't in sports necessarily as a kid. I did swim team for a very short amount of time, but I was still way more active. I'm 45. We went outside every day. We ran
Yeah.
from dogs, we rode bikes, we skint knees, like
Mhm.
we were all over the place. And we were not allowed to come back in the house. It's like drink out of a
Yep.
water hose,
Yep.
stay outside. You're fine.
That's
You
my
know,
era. Yep.
that's it. That's it, that's all. But
Absolutely.
the older we get, life gets busy. Like we were talking about earlier, life gets busy. We don't have as much time for workout or recreation because really almost anything can be a workout depending on what your level is.
Mhm.
Just walking around the house and doing odd end things for some people is a workout. But then you
Mhm.
have some people that's like, nah, like I need to run a whole marathon for me to feel like I did anything.
Mhm.
But I mean, as we get older, your body builds up this like I'll say, have you ever heard of gluten sensitivity?
Yes.
So with gluten sensitivity, it's kind of like back in the day, you used to be able to eat all the white bread you want, all the bread, all the everything that has this particular protein off in it. Because gluten is basically a protein that's inside of a grain, but they pull
Okay.
that out so that people can actually digest the grains. But it's a protein that people can't digest. So back in the day when we were kids, we ate all that stuff like with no problem. At least we thought
Mhm.
with no problem. We
Mhm.
probably had issues then, we just didn't know it.
Mhm.
But now that we're getting older, we're slowing down, our metabolisms are slowing down. And then, if a person is on any medication, that's going to mess with metabolism, hormones,
Yep.
all these things. So it's just a collection of, independent reasons why. the things you used to eat as a kid, you can't really eat those things in the same way now.
Yeah, I think it also, like, I think you made a point when you were saying like the activity level matters. Because we were always so active and busy, and our metabolism was much higher. So even if we ate a lot of the wrong things, because we could eat McDonald's like every day and not be affected because we were burning that stuff off so fast. It didn't
Mm,
have time to sit. And then because it's like now that we're getting older, we're a little more sedimentary and we're not as active, so that stuff is just sitting and festering and festering. And I
mhm,
was having a conversation, I was talking to my husband, and we were talking about, you know, how often we should be going to the bathroom to have a
mm,
bowel movement, and that if we're not going within 24 hours. Okay, so for example, let me just, you know, break it down. So when you eat, what I eat today is supposed to come out tomorrow. So it should sit in my body long enough to absorb the nutrients and minerals and all that stuff, and then should pass tomorrow. But if I had 2 meals, then I should be pooping 2 times. And if I'm not doing that, then we have a problem, because what happens is that over time that stuff sits. So if you think
mhm,
about the food that you throw in the trash and it starts to rot and it stinks, that's what's
mhm,
happening in our bodies. The food is
mhm.
sitting in that intestine, it's just rotting, it's stinking, it's becoming
Yeah,
sludge. And then we have, you know, the illnesses, the diseases, because now it's
mhm.
turning into toxins
Exactly.
and it's causing issues in our body.
I've actually heard, a few doctors that was saying that it's not bad if you don't use the restroom every day, that
Yeah.
you're still okay. For me, I know how I start to feel if I don't go every day. My stomach feels big and heavy and bloated. It feels just, I don't know, like it feel like it's a bunch of food stuck off in there. And then I get very aggravated when I actually start to feel hungry, but my stomach still feel bloated from those meals that haven't moved. And so now I'm just like stacking food, and then like you said, you get to feeling tired and just irritable and everything else. So I don't know. So, like I said, when it comes to things like that, I mean, I've dealt with doctors all my days, and some stuff you just have to listen to your body. It's not to say that some doctors don't know what they're talking about, but
Mhm.
um, I tell all my clients, listen to your individual body.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I had to make an adjustment because I am also live on my other page and they couldn't um oh no, I can't. Oh darn it. I'm sorry. I have like, you know what? People will always call you when you're in the middle of something. So throughout
They don't
everything.
call you all day long, and then as soon as you're
No,
busy,
but it's okay. So hopefully, Jasmine, let me know if you can hear um now because I took my headphones off. So yes, so that is why I wanted to have this conversation, Topaz, is because um first of all, I'm a licensed cosmetology. Most people already know that, but I'm also now a trichologist, and I help professional women who pretty much are moms. A lot of them are moms. They're busy. They have stressful careers, and they go home, and then they have stressful mom lives because they have to tend to their family. And okay, I don't know what this is doing. And because of all that stress in the body, they sometimes have issues with thinning hair and hair loss. And one of the things that I like to address with my clients is I get historical information. So we talk about their health history, we talk about background information like their lifestyle, we talk about family history so I can get to the root cause of what's happening with their hair. And then we look at things with the eye topically, we look at the scalp with the microscope, but then we also talk about nutrition because a lot of people omit that part in the discovery process. And I wanted to host you on the show because I really want people to understand the importance of nutrition. It's a lot of information out there
Mm-hmm.
when you go onto YouTube University. Because a lot of us are on YouTube looking for stuff.
All
We're
the
looking
time.
for answers. We're trying to figure it out, and we get confused. And so, a lot of time, it's information overload. And even myself, as a professional, sometimes I get on there. I get so much information. It's like it's more information than I can do what I can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I wanted to be able to pull an expert, someone who is trained, someone who's actually studied and know, the information that we're looking for so that we can get it firsthand, so that people can really understand what's going on with their bodies and start from a place of nutrition, because that's only a starting point. There are so many other factors that we have to look at, but nutrition is one point that we can start with. And a lot of times we have a tendency to think that there's this one size fit all, and it's not. Every individual is different, and every individual needs a catered type of plan that is able to address their needs. Could you talk with us a little bit more specifically about what that looks like for a typical client?
Well, first off, with a lot of my clients, like you said, a lot of people do tend to avoid that nutrition question because most of us are not eating the way we know we're supposed to be eating. Like
Hmm.
some stuff you just know you shouldn't be eating.
Yeah.
But I do try and make the goal obtainable for my clients. Because the thing for me, when I was told, cut out the white potatoes, cut out the rice, cut out juice, cut out bread, it was just like, what else am I supposed to eat?
Yeah.
Like, that's all I know. You just told me to stop eating, basically.
Eat
That's how
air.
I felt.
Yeah. Eat air.
I mean, because the thing is, and I have clients, of course, of all ages that deal with diet issues. I talk to teenagers about their nutrition because they feel like they're active. Some of them play basketball, some of them run track, but they eat a horrible diet and they don't drink very much water. But
Hmm.
because they're slender and because they're young and they feel like I'm fine. Well, right now you may be, but later on down the road, like what you were saying earlier, it does catch up with you. And some people it doesn't catch up with you until later. And then some people, who knows when it's gonna catch up with them. It may be sooner than later.
Hmm.
But I try to tell everybody to make your goals obtainable. Pay attention to your body. If you know that you eat something, like I've been kind of detoxing things out of my diet for a long time, so when I go back to them, I know exactly when something is not for me. Like I stopped eating a lot of the cheaper cheeses
Hmm.
because whenever I would eat that highly processed cheese, I get a lot of mucus. Like I feel this, it's like
Hmm.
it's like where this come from, you know but now I know where it's coming from.
Hmm.
Because if I don't, it's just like if you cut, let's just say you stop eating pork. A lot of people that I know, they're like, oh, I don't eat pork anymore because of the salt. Well, the first time you go eat some pork ribs or pork anything, you get this rush of a headache because it's like your body detox all that high concentrate of salt, and now you've rushed it back into your blood, and now you have a headache, your blood pressure is high. So it's like some things we just really have to listen to what you know to do. Pay attention to the symptoms that you did not have when you stopped eating those things, because as soon as you put it back in your diet and now you don't feel well, that's a telltale sign that that particular food item isn't for you.
Mhm.
So that's the main thing that I tell a lot of my clients, because I mean, it is hard figuring out the right diets. But I have a client, she loves steak. She is a beef steak eater on a regular basis. And she said that when she tried to put more vegetables in her diet, she felt horrible. Now, the mindset is what? I mean, why would you feel horrible eating vegetables? But her body responds better to eating more of those lean proteins than the vegetables. Now, me, I can't say that I would feel comfortable just eating meat, and not that much vegetable, but it works for her body.
Mhm.
So, nutrition is not a one size fit all. You have to just kind of figure out what works for your body and know those discomfort signs that it's telling you something you're eating is not right for you.
Do you recommend like keeping a food journal?
Oh, yes, especially if you're a person that has chronic issues, issues that are just persistent. You're always getting them when you eat certain things, because it's almost kind of like, I tell clients, especially my hair clients, I'm like, stop using 1,000 different products. You do not know what's working for you and what's not working for you when you're using all these different products. You have to start narrowing it down so you know what works well for you. Your diet is almost pretty much the same way. Like, um I'm trying to think of where I was going with that. I kind of went into a whole another mindset. Y'all have to excuse me.
It's fine. We were
But when
talking
it
about
comes
the
to things
journal
like
and
that,
mhm.
repeat the question again. I just sat up here and just,
No, it's fine. We were talking about because I was asking if you would recommend a journal, and you were saying yes.
oh, right.
Mhm.
When it comes to a journal. So when you're writing things and you eat something and then you go back to it, if you eliminate that thing, you can go in your journal and be like, okay, I stopped eating, let's just say ice cream, because most people are lactose intolerant. But if
Mhm.
you're not 100% sure, you're like, okay, I ate ice cream 2 months ago. I'm going to reintroduce it. You can write down how your body had been feeling since you hadn't been eating it. And then you can refer back and be like, okay, I ate ice cream at a birthday party. I feel horrible. I'm gassy. I'm bloated. I'm this and that. I
Mhm.
think keeping food journals are really good things to do, especially when you have a goal. Whether your goal is to get off medication, or if your goal is to lose weight, or if your goal is just to feel better. Because
Mhm.
not everybody puts a lot of weight on. You do have some people that have high metabolisms, and their diet doesn't always reflect in their weight,
Right.
but it reflects in other ways. So food journals can be a really effective way to really kind of weed out those foods that are good for you, not good for you. Cause sometimes we eat so much stuff we forget that last time we ate a hamburger, we couldn't sleep all night because we had indigestion, we had heartburn,
Mhm.
so
I think
yeah,
it's also a
it's
good
a good
way
idea.
to track and measure also what you're eating and how much you're eating and what you're drinking, how much you're drinking as well, at least until you get a system in place. Like for me, I know that it would benefit me because sometimes you're just not aware of what you're eating. Like you can eat throughout the
Mhm.
day and you're like, okay, well, what did I eat? Well, how much of that did I eat? And then you're trying to pinpoint what particular foods had a specific type of effect and you don't really know. So I think
Mhm.
for me, I will definitely consider incorporating that just at least until I get on a type of regimen to know
And
what
then
works
they
for
have
me and
those,
what doesn't.
and I can't think of the name of them right off the top of my head, but they have the different nutrition trackers,
Okay.
like what you can put on your phone.
Mhm.
So like it'll help you keep on track when you're out of town. If you're really trying to watch um your cholesterol intake, your salt intake, your sugar intake, You can kind of type in what restaurant you're eating at, you know, or what food you're eating to kind of help you stay on track until you get to your journal. And
Mm-hmm.
then you can kind of write down, you know, the things that you put in that tracker as well. So I think that's a
Yeah.
really good thing to do.
Now, one of the other questions, because my husband and I we were talking about just doing for a little while, like a vegetarian type of diet, just to kind of cleanse and then begin to reintroduce certain foods back into our diet because, we just want to work through some things health wise and physically as well. Like, I have a little pudge I could work on. But one of the other concerns is that sometimes when you think about vegetables, if you're not really well versed on various ways to cook it, it can be boring. And me
Mm.
being a creative, I get bored really, really quickly, especially with food. Like it needs to have a taste and it needs to be visually pleasing and the texture needs to be good. Do you offer different or various recipes for your clients as well to just give them some sort of guidance as to how to prepare their foods a little bit differently?
Um, well, first and foremost, I try to make sure I tell everybody eat the rainbow because most people, the reason why they get bored with the foods they eat is because we stick to the foods we were raised on. You know, most people, I'm like, have you ever, I don't know. There's like millions of different vegetables out there, but most people stick to peas, green beans, the typical salad greens. Um, some people are venturing more into the kales and the Swiss chard, type salad stuff and things like that. But people don't think about eating things like eggplant. You know, more people are getting into things like asparagus and all these other, different vegetables. But when I was in school, they had us reformulate recipes. So like you were saying, y'all are thinking about doing more of the vegetarian thing. Well, they gave us different recipes. So I'll say something like a beef stew. Okay, they were like, how can you formulate a beef stew without the beef, but help your clients still get all their nutrition? So I had to look at all these different vegetable alternatives where you were still getting your proteins and all your nutrients. Well, I saw that chickpeas was like a huge thing to be able to get protein. Most people don't eat chickpeas. We don't think about chickpeas. So it's exploring new vegetables. Some people don't like carrots raw in their salad, but they might like them cooked. They might like them if they're grilled or, something like that. So I just tell people to really open up their mind when it comes to trying something different. Try different vegetable, cook it in different ways, play with different seasonings. I know for myself, I go on Pinterest a lot and try and get different ideas of how to cook different vegetables. I've played with Greek seasoning, all kinds of stuff. So
Hmm.
it's just opening your mind from that usual diet that you grew up with and open up your eyes to more color, more variations of vegetables, you know, just play around with different things. We're stuck in these one set of flavors with our taste buds,
Yeah, that's what I was
you
gonna say as
know.
well. Because a lot of times we would lean into whatever the taste buds like. But if you think about it, when we were infants, many of us was on baby formula. And if I don't know about you, but I've tasted that formula and it's disgusting. And babies love it. So it's just a matter of really reframing your mindset and changing the way that you see things and view things. And though your taste buds may not necessarily like the taste, over time it will adapt
Mm-hmm.
because our taste buds are adaptable. But we first have to get beyond our way of thinking so that we
Mm-hmm.
are able to then grow into another realm. as it
Yeah.
relates to food. So,
You got to come into your grown-up taste buds.
oh yeah,
You know,
definitely.
there's a lot of things that I would have never ate as a kid that, like, I put turmeric in everything now. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um it's just a lot of seasonings I would have never in my whole entire life ever had tried until I went to school for nutrition. It just really opened my nose literally to different flavors, different techniques of cooking things. Um, like in that particular recipe, it called for leeks. And I was like, what is a leek? And so we had to cook the recipe as well as restructure it for our hypothetical clients. And a leek actually tastes almost like a onion, but not nearly as potent as a white onion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're a person that does not like that robust flavor that a white onion can have, this
Mm-hmm.
is like a very subtle onion. And you can put it in stews, you can make vegetable broth. I learned how to make a mineral broth out of nothing but vegetables. And when I kid y'all not, that doggone mineral broth tastes so good with no seasoning. It was no seasoning in it. I swear to you, it was just a bunch of different vegetables. You cut them in chunks, like even with the onions, you keep the root on it, everything. You put the whole shebang in there. You just clean it, of course, very thoroughly. You
Mm-hmm.
cut everything into very big chunks and put it in one of those you could do maybe a crock pot or one of them big boiler pots,
Mm-hmm.
and just let it simmer. Do not put it on a high heat, because the point is you don't want to kill the nutrients. You want to just kind of
Scoop
slowly
it.
extract the nutrients, but you don't want to cook it to the point your vegetables are like mush and
Right.
all this other stuff. You put it on a very low setting and let it, cook on that low setting for maybe about 45 minutes to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you got yourself your own broth. And the vegetables shouldn't be, like cooked real soft. So you could use them for, something else after that. But the broth was awesome. It was so good.
Sounds good.
Like
Sounds
you
good.
could just drink it like a tea.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that recipe.
Yeah.
That sounds very, very tasty. I like to try different things, especially when it's healthy, because like I said, as I'm older now, over the 50, I'm more health conscious. Whereas when I was younger, I didn't think about it because I didn't feel like I had to. But we all know that, things could start to be breaking down in your body and it doesn't really reveal itself until later down the line.
Yeah.
And so
Because
here
I
we are
didn't know I would
now.
feel the way I feel half the time as a 45-year-old. I'm
Hmm.
like, I was sitting on my couch playing on my laptop, and I felt like I had been sitting on the floor. I was like, why do my knees feel this way? And I'm sitting normal on the couch, okay? Not Indian style, not with the legs crossed, no nothing. I had been sitting maybe for an hour, just like I'm sitting in this chair. I was
Hmm.
sitting on my couch, and I got up and I was like, dear God, what is happening? Like, why do my legs and my knees feel like this? And I was sitting in a normal, comfortable position. Like, it's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's a culmination of a lot of things, nutrition and, stretching, hydrating. Well, like, oh my gosh, it's just like I didn't have to think about this stuff before. Why is it that now I have to be worried about it?
I
But
know.
yeah, we definitely need to be mindful of it. The younger we are, the better. Creating those habits, the disciplines, and the routines, so that when we become, of a certain age, it's nothing to do. It's very easy to do. It's easy like breathing.
Hmm.
So,
Well, I
um,
definitely suggest that people find their comfort zone in their nutrition. Don't try and do what somebody else is doing. Don't try and do what the gurus are doing. You do want to progress. Don't move so slow that you're not progressing. Always create a new goal for yourself. But for me, what helped me cut out a lot of the toxic foods that I was eating is I created challenges for myself where I was not allowed to eat that particular item all week long, with the exception of Saturday and Sunday. That is it. That is all. If I do not eat said treat and it ain't ate all up and gone by Saturday, Sunday, that's it. That's all. Like,
Yeah.
I
And that's
can't take it into
sustainable.
Monday.
I think that's sustainable. I think a lot of times that people quit on themselves because they have this big grandiose goal, and then they
Mm-hmm.
don't, when they, it's hard for them to it's hard for them to, keep the focus, and they miss the mark, and then they give up. I know that
Yeah.
I do. If it's too big, and I'm very, like, I'm very ambitious when it comes to, my goals and stuff like that. But sometimes being too ambitious and unrealistic, it makes it difficult to stay on task. So,
Mhm. And we
having
don't
your
always
plan,
have a cheerleader. We don't
yeah.
always have a support system. You do have to do it for yourself. You have to remind yourself of what you're doing it for.
Hmm.
Because if you're doing things for other people, you're not going to stick to it. Um, that's my opinion. Because the thing is some stuff I just have to realize that when I did eat well, when I was eating right, I got up and I had energy. I felt good. You know, Me eating right didn't make that other person feel energized. It made me feel energized. You
Hmm.
know, so you have to dig deep inside yourself and find your why. Like I did this class and I started out with my lead question is what would make you do better with your health? What has to happen that will make you do better? So one day, and this was around COVID, my face started breaking out really, really bad. I started getting cystic acne.
Hmm.
So, cystic acne is usually that hormonal acne that you get right off in this part of your face. And the problem is at first I thought it was because we were wearing those masks all the time. And I thought maybe my face was just getting aggravated by it. But while I was sitting at home living my best life for 2 months because we couldn't go to work, I was eating all kinds of foolishness and my body was getting overwhelmed by my toxic diet, and I started getting all these dark spots with these really really big pimples all over my face. And at that point my toxic diet was showing on the outside, and I was like, time to pull it back. Because for me, of course, I knew better, which would made me even more frustrated. Is the stuff that I was eating, it was out of boredom, it was out of stress, it was out of convenience, and all these other things. And so it was just like until it started showing on my face, I was like, no, we're not going to do this. And now every time I get carried away and I feel an itch on my face, we're not going to revisit that.
Hmm. Hmm.
We can't revisit that. So, and not to say that my why is because of vanity, but it was just like, OMG, like my face has never looked like that a day in my life. Even when I was a teenager, I did not get bad acne. And so for me to have these big dark spots and these big pimples on my face, and I'm like, we can't wear these masks forever. I felt very insecure
Conscious, yeah.
when we stopped wearing the mask. I was like, until this go away, I'm finna fake
I'm
it
wearing
until I
this
make
mask.
it. I'm still wearing this mask until these dark spots and these pimples go away. I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
So, some stuff. whatever the situation may be, if it's because you want to feel better, you want to look better, or you just want to do better, or all of those things, you have to find your why when it comes to your nutrition, because you want to do it in a way that you'll stick to it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, don't
Absolutely.
say that you're going to do a diet. I'm doing a lifestyle change. You know, your words mean a lot. And if you put a negative word on it, you're less likely to stick to it. And most people hate the word diet. But when
Yeah.
we say something positive and say that we're doing a lifestyle change, it hits different.
Mm-hmm. And when you're actually making a change to move forward to a better outcome or better goal, and then when you
Yes.
reach it, it makes the process all worthwhile. So,
Oh, for
so last
sure.
question that I have for you, Topaz, is how does working with the nutritionist provide more accurate, sustainable results compared to following online trends or nutritional apps?
Because I feel like with a nutritionist, especially if you find one that truly listens to you and what you need and what your goals are, your nutrition goals can be individualized. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like we said earlier, going to Google, looking at what someone on TikTok is doing, um, we don't know what those people are really doing to lose their weight or do whatever it is that they're doing that you admire. But with
Mm-hmm.
a nutritionist can sit down, talk to you about your goals, make it obtainable, not an unrealistic goal, but make it obtainable so that you're more likely to stick to it. Um, I mean, it's always better to talk to an individual person that can really form fit, you know, whatever your diet goals are going to be for you. Not for your
Mm-hmm.
sister, not for your mom, not for your husband, but for you. So,
Absolutely. Well, we have here underneath on the screen how you can reach Topaz. You can reach her at style list. So both words style list dot topaz at gmail.com. You can also reach her at www.hairim by topaz.com, and you can follow her on Facebook at Hair and Health Recovery LLC, as well as Instagram at Hair I Am 344. Thank you so much, Topaz. This has been an
yes.
excellent, excellent show today. I want to also ask all of my followers to follow the BFAB broadcast on YouTube. You can also follow me at at Beauty by Angela J. My website is www.medicalwigssolutionsllc.com. There's the email address at bfabbroadcast@gmail.com. We want to thank our host, the Canfield 413 Network. You can follow them as well on YouTube. And so we want to say thank you to our audience for just being with us today. We really do appreciate you so very much. Now, what we are going to talk about really briefly before we go is that Topaz and I are collaborating um, as service providers. So, one of the things that I find so important is that we partner with people who are going to benefit our client to the greatest level. And what a great opportunity for me than for me to partner with Topaz as a nutritionist for my clients. So if any one of you are interested or concerned, or just have questions about your hair, your scalp, things that you may be noticing that you didn't notice before, and you have some questions, go ahead and book a free 30-minute consultation. There is my calendar right there on the screen. Go ahead and go there. Click for the 30-minute appointment. Let's have a conversation. And so, in the package that we'll offer, is that you will get Topaz personally so that she could also speak to you about your nutrition and how you can begin to have a healthy lifestyle per the food that you eat. And so you'll have a consultation with me, you'll have a consultation with Topaz, and then we'll create a package for you to be able to get you on the road to your hair and scalp recovery. And let's be clear, people, hair recovery and scalp recovery is not always about hair loss. So we're not always addressing hair loss. Sometimes there are things in the body that needs to be addressed. And one place that really starts to show an issue in our body is through our hair. So if you are having a question, a concern, or just some uneasiness about your scalp, your skin, it shows up on your skin, like Topaz said, her face was breaking out and those bumps. If you're having an issue or some concern with your hair or scalp, if it's detoxification that you need, anything, have a conversation with us by going on ahead and booking that 30-minute consultation. It's free, costs you nothing but time, just 30 minutes of your time to sit and have a conversation to see if the opportunities that we have is something that you could benefit from. We'll never sell you anything that you don't need. We're only here to help you. And so are excited to be able to partner together to be able to best serve you, our community. And so that's it for today's broadcast. We thank you so very much. Tune in on next week as we are going to speak about the topic, where does or how does your garden grow? I'm excited about that topic because we're going to start talking about growing your own garden. Topaz, I know that you have a garden of your own because you shared that
Yes.
with us in our psychology class. But how does your garden grow? That topic we're going to be discussing with Jasmine Monique. Jasmine is the bomb diggity when it comes to gardening. She has been self-taught. Jasmine, for those who don't know, is my daughter, and I'm so proud of her because she kind of self-taught herself how to build and to grow a garden. And so she is going to be our guest on next week's show, and I'm excited to host her as well to just show her little steps that you can take to begin to grow your own garden in your house so you know that what you're eating is clean food. Because part of the problem, Topaz, I'm sure you agree with me, is the pesticides and the way that they process the foods. That's called, even the healthy foods sometimes is not processed well, and it causes adverse reactions in our bodies. So there you have it. So thank you again, Topaz. We
You're
appreciate you
welcome.
taking your time to talk to us today. This was a great show. I hope you all got some great information from this. You guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, you guys, be bold, be brave, and be beautiful. Bye bye. Thanks for joining.
Bye.